Welcome to Innervision FM, and as you can see, the topic is how did OJ beat a murder rap? So there's a few reasons, and I'm going to go into some of them. Some of them you might even thought about yourself in this whole process. First of all, I want to let you know that Innervision is a non-profit organization. We work with physically challenged musical artists to teach them the business of music. And you may say, like, what does this video have to do with music? Well, we do talk about some business stuff, but we also talk about just topics in general, and so that's the reason why. You can follow us on Twitter, Innervision Reco. That's Innervision, INNERVISIRECO. And you can see us on Facebook on Mondays live at 6 o'clock. That's Innervision.J. And we ask that you subscribe to this on YouTube or Spreaker. Subscribe to our videos as well, and it just helps us to get and like and share our information as well. You can also hear me on KUHS Denver. That's KUHS Denver every Sunday from 1 to 3. That's KUHS Denver 1 to 3. And KOMF Radio 92.9 on the FM dial every Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 8:30, Wednesdays and Fridays. And then now we're on Denver Community Media, Channel 56 at 8 p.m. every Wednesdays as well. So let's get into this topic. Okay, OJ. Okay, what, it was 25 years this June when Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman were found brutally murdered. And the police at first was saying publicly that OJ wasn't a suspect. Then later on he became the suspect. And for people that are old enough, I was watching it. I had just had a corneal transplant operation. So, and I was going through a divorce myself, and I was looking at the TV, and it interrupted all the news program. I don't even know I was at home at the time, but I was at home, and I was watching the cameras show this Bronco on the highway in California. And I lived in California before, so I sort of I knew some of the terrain of it. I didn't know the rich areas as much as I knew just California and Los Angeles in general. And so I was watching this and saying, wow, what's happening? And the year before, there was a year before that, we had seen the beating of Rodney King by the policemen, and how they were acquitted, saying they were totally innocent. That wasn't a black man handcuffed and you were beaten. That was a figment of our imagination, even though we saw it in video. And then the riots broke out at that time, and then of course you had the Boys in the Hood movie, and you saw like from some people's perspective, the black community's perspective back then, some of the harassing things that were happening with the young people, and some of it rightfully so with the gang members, because they're doing illegal things, and maybe the cops are doing illegal things as well. But you saw some of the harassment of gang members, and just policemen coming in from another community saying, hey, you're the people here who are taxpaying, saying they want some law and order and not just rampant crime. And since I guess at that time the Muslims didn't have their thing going on in Los Angeles and other cities, maybe they couldn't self-police, right? So you had you had those things going on. And then going back to the 1950s, Emma Till, a 14-year-old boy, whistling at a white woman, not touching, not rubbing against, not chasing her down, but just whistling, saying, "Wow, you're a beautiful woman." And he was from, I believe he was from Chicago. He came down to visit his cousins and relatives down in the South. And him, his mother, his people, family, and Chicago could have never imagined that their son would be killed because he whistled at a white woman. 14. He's only in this world for 14 years, and these two white men took it upon him to grab him in the middle of the night, take him, and shoot him in the back of the ear. And the mother said that she wanted the casket to be open because she wanted America to see what they had allowed to happen to her baby. And of course, the guy went to the crowd, and they said, "Nah, innocent. The black boy shouldn't have been whistling at a white woman." Now you think about that. I don't care who you are. Would you want your son to be murdered because he whistled at a woman of another ethnicity? But that was the norm in America. That was the norm. And then of course the song written called "Strange Fruit." That was about when the word picnic came from white people in the South having a picnic, and they would get their children together, and they would put together some food, and everybody was happy because they were about to see a Negro hanged in the street, in the tree. And maybe that Negro, it was too uppity, or maybe that Negro didn't say "yes sir," "yes ma'am," "yes sir" in the right way. Maybe that Negro looked a white man in the eye. Whatever reason they wanted, it was picnic time, and that's where the word picnic came from going out and seeing Negroes hung in the tree. So then in 1965, there was a riot that happened as well, when this one guy, he had been to jail, and they said that, the cop was stopping and was doing a check and was going to take, and the guy didn't want to go back to jail. And then this big riot broke out then, and it was one in Detroit and one in California as well. So just, okay, that was back in the 60s, 50s, 70s. And then I remember in the 70s going to Texas, and my brother Warren, he laughs about the dirty South, because last time we went there was in 2011. And I'll tell you that story a little bit later. And so, and I'm just giving you a history of like how this situation got set up to be perfect for OJ. So in the 70s, we went to Texas for vacations, my family. My mother, she wanted us to get to know our cousins and my dad's side of the family and her side of the family, who were still down there in Amarillo, Texas. And so I remember, my sister had a little Volkswagen, and me and her and my little brother, we would go riding around, and the black people saying, if you go to a Burger King or a McDonald's and there are only white people in this establishment, do not go into that establishment. And we thought that was kind of weird, because we're from Denver, Colorado, and as far as we know, that if we went into a Burger King or McDonald's or whatever, no problem. But in the South, there was a And so that problem translated in, if you're black, you better stay back, okay? And I didn't like Texas for that very reason, because I said, hey, I was born a free man in America, a free child, a teenager at the time. And who are these people to tell me I cannot go in here if there's all white people in there? Huh? Who are they? You know, once I go in there, now it's a mixed crowd. But at my tender age, I didn't understand the history, and I just know that my mother mistrusts all white people, and I'm thinking like, not all white people are evil. In my mind, you know, I thought that, you know, there had to have been some good white people in the world, right? And so my thought was, okay, my mother might have met a lot of evil white people, but not all white people are evil. And there's a lot of black people who've done some pretty evil things as well, but you can't say all black people are evil just because of their skin color, right? So moving up into the 80s and hip hop getting more popular, and the first hip hop songs were about some of the police brutality things that were going on at that time. And you know, like I said, the majority of our country is white, so you have to figure like in the percentage wise, there had to be more white people, you know, mistreated by policemen than it could have been like black people, because we only represented a little bit under like 12%, 10% of the country. So how could we be the biggest focus? Now we are the most visible. It wasn't like if you were Jewish, you can change your name. If you were Irish, you can change your name. If you were any other ethnicity, you can change your name. As long as your skin was white, you can change your name, and you can just melt into it. Black people, we have never been invisible. So we can't just change our name to another name and then, you know, the problem will not go away, at least externally. So we have to deal with that. So you got OJ and this perfect storm, criminal storm. And of course, we got to remember, like, America was founded by people running away from England, and maybe some of those people were criminals, so forth. I hear a lot of talk about, you know, like a lot of, you know, there was a criminal element, and America just loves criminals. Al Capone and Scarface Nelson, and people have a fascination with criminals, you know, for some reason. I'm not sure why. I haven't been here that long, but that's just been my observation as a blind person, that people, you know, talk about with a gleam in the eye, you know, criminals. And I'm not sure why people who break the law, I mean, maybe if they're not breaking the law against you, then they're cool. But if it hits close to family and they're breaking the law with you, that's a total different thing, right? So you have Simpson, and as I understood it, I mean, I heard some of the calls on the when Nicole would call the 911, and you could hear O.J. Simpson ranting and raving in the background, right? And I know sometimes relationships can be toxic, and I've been in a few toxic relationships myself. I remember my first girlfriend, she was 18, and it was, you know, maybe I, you know, should have, you know, got married and all that stuff, but for some reason I was doing it, you know, the new way, you know, shacking up, as my mother and dad would call it, shacking up. And I had saved up some money. I met her in LA at a camp, moved her to Colorado, and then flew out here. I was working at a radio station KCFR and the news department back in the day. And so I was pretty much learning my craft. I was there left at 7 o'clock in the morning, got back around 8 o'clock at night. And I would call her up and stuff like that, and let her know that, hey, how you doing? She said, hey, I'm doing fine. And then my mother and sister said, hey, if she would call us up, we'll pick her up and we'll take her around and stuff like that. But that never happened for whatever reason. And what happened with her was, sometimes she would make me so mad, so mad, that I would think about strangling this woman, because she would make me so mad. And maybe it was anger in me, maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it was just, getting pissed off at certain things. And I remember thinking to myself, if a person gets you that mad, you should get away from that person. And so, President Clinton is good with that. He put that law in effect: 3 strikes and you're out. Well, I had that mentality when I was 20. 3 strikes and you're out. So she did, one, two. One thing that led up to it was, I guess, the last one. No, she did first thing. Then was the second thing, where she ran my phone bill up to $900. Now, my phone bill back in those days were only $17. So she was making phone calls to Los Angeles, to people, staying on the phone all day. And I was wondering, what's going on? And what she did was she hid the phone bill. And when she hid the phone bill, and then I finally got to the mailbox before she got to the mailbox, then I know it was premeditated. Now I can understand if you make a mistake, if I would have got the phone bill, it was $100. Hey, as I would say, hey, you have to curb your phone calling, right? And also she was totally blind as well. So it was premeditated, where she knows she was making these phone calls, and they were long distance calls, and she went and she hid the phone bill so I wouldn't get it. And one day I got it, and I called the phone company. I said, my phone bill used to be $17. Now it's $900. I didn't make all these calls. And then the operator asked me this question, and at the time I thought it was weird. And then when I thought about it, it wasn't weird. Is there somebody else in the house that uses your phone? And I said, yeah, my girlfriend's there, but she wouldn't make $900 with the phone calls. And so that was, I realized I'm going to have to pay $900. Then the next thing was, she invited some guys into the house, and I didn't know these guys, and then that went on to some big trouble. So then, 3 strikes, you're out. I called up her mother, said, I'm going to send your daughter back. Bought her a plane ticket, sent her back, and that was it. Because I realized in your mind, like OJ should have realized, if a woman makes you that mad, okay, he divorced her, but they still had the children. With this lady, I sent her back to her mother, but we didn't have any kids, thank God. And they wanted us. They said, well, you're just a young couple, why don't you have a kids? And as soon as she got here, I made sure that she went down and got some birth control. I got birth control, no kids, right? So OJ's problem was, he got this girl, whatever, lady, Nicole Brown. They had children together, then they had problems, and then he is jealous. I hate jealousy, because jealousy is no good in a relationship. So here you got O.J. Simpson, jealous. He has money, and he thinks he's privileged. He's O.J. Simpson, the great football player. He came from a bad neighborhood where he probably saw people who got murdered and were laid in the streets. And as I understand, in Los Angeles, sometimes if you were in a bad neighborhood and somebody got killed, that person would lay out in the street maybe for a few days, and you saw, it was stuff like, we never saw that kind of stuff here in Denver, Colorado. So we were pretty much, me and my sisters, and maybe my older brothers probably saw some things, but as far as my sister, my little brother, myself, we were really naive. Now my little brother, he became a police officer in Aurora, so he probably saw a lot more things than I or my sister have ever seen, because if you're a police officer in Aurora or Denver, you will see the ugly side of Colorado, right? So here's O.J. Simpson. He's rich. He's set paying some crazy probably child support because he has the money, and he's making these commercials. He's making these movies and so forth. But he has this jealous personality, possessive personality, and he's married to this woman that, because of his actions, whatever, she's no longer in love with him anymore. Oh, okay. So I'm coming. So I gotta. It may be a part 2 of this because I'm up to about 20 minutes. And if you just joined us, you're watching Innervision FM. My name is Johnnie J, and we're talking about how did OJ get away with murder. Okay, so I'm just building up to this. And so what I understand also, and I didn't understand this until it happened to me, but I guess Nicole and Ron, they may or may not been starting a relationship, but what should it matter to OJ? They're divorced. It's not going to happen. They're not getting back together. And so, but he might have heard from some friends, or he might have saw Ron Goldman driving one of his expensive cars that he gave to Nicole to drive herself, to drive with her kids. Now, to the normal mind, that sounds like, hey, it might sound okay or whatever. But I remember I helped this lady buy a car one time, and she said she's going to pay back the money, and so I even tried to get her a job. And it's so stupid, guys. And even in the Bible it says, don't sign your name for somebody that you hardly know or don't know. It doesn't even go into that details. And I won't even sign my name for cars that my daughters, but I learned it the hard way. I would read that proverb and I didn't know. And so in my situation, I signed this car, and then I heard rumors, because I can't see, that this guy, and I knew the guy and I knew her, was driving her car. And guys like to drive cars, because I remember I was my sister, because I can't drive at all. My sister was driving, and we were on Colorado Boulevard in 29th, and this black kid says, "You let her drive the car?" Now, of course, he didn't know I couldn't see, right? But I guess in the world of male-female relationship, even if the car belongs to a woman, the guy likes to drive because it makes him feel like, macho, right? So so when this kid said, you let the woman drive, he didn't know that was my sister, right? And he didn't know that I couldn't see, even though my eyes looked funny and whatever, and I didn't wear sunglasses at that time. So is this thing about when if you're two drivers, if a woman will let the guy drive, and OJ should have thought, in his mind, but because OJ is a jealous, possessive personality, that didn't go over well with him. And I remember I got a little bit ticked, but because I helped this lady get her $2,000 car, and if she defaulted on the payment, then I would have to take it over. And I was kind of saying, hey, why don't you work? Because they're calling me up and saying, you missed the payment. And I thought, you said you wanted to get this car so you can work. And here they're calling me up saying that you missed the payment. So what's going on? Now in OJ's case, he's making the payments. Nobody's calling up saying the payments are late. But he either sees with his eyes, or he hears about that this Ron Goldman is driving around in his expensive car that he bought for Nicole. Once again, that doesn't justify murdering anybody. That doesn't justify murdering, right? right? So that leads up to what is going to happen. So he's hearing these things, and maybe he wants like a door where he can probably return, but he's being abusive to this woman, and you know, no sensible woman or man wants to be in an abusive relationship, right? And I can understand that. Nobody wants to be in an abusive relationship, right? So I understand that. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to do part 2 of this, and we will further get into the reasons why OJ got away with murder in part 2. You're watching Innervision FM. Like I said, we're a nonprofit called Innervision. We work with physically challenged musical artists. We ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You like it, you share it, and if there's any topics that you want us to talk about, you know, go to our website, Innervision Records. That's INNERVISION Records with the S.org. And you can also support us through PayPal, paypal.me/Innervision Denver. So paypal.me/Innervision Denver. And you can sign up for our free newsletter on innervisionrecords.org, and we'll let you know on a weekly basis what we're doing here at our nonprofit. And if you're a musical artist and you want to, you're a grassroots artist or you're a disabled artist and you want to find out more about how you can generate money in the music business other than, you know, doing concerts and selling. I don't even know if you guys if country artists probably still sell CDs and some other art and merch and stuff like that. But there's other ways, many other ways you can make money as well. So for Innervision FM, we'll see you the next time on Innervision FM with Johnnie J.